Imagine marching down a muddy French road in occupied Europe, rain falling, boots sinking into the dirt, a German patrol moving cautiously through the countryside. Then one soldier notices something in the middle of the road. Horse manure, completely ordinary, the kind of thing soldiers stepped over 100 times a day. One of them kicks it aside, and the road explodes. Mud, blood, smoke, screaming men thrown across the ditch. The survivors stare at the crater in absolute disbelief, because they had just been attacked by something their brains refused to understand. Not a landmine, not artillery, not sabotage wires, horse shit. And somewhere nearby, the people responsible were already gone. This wasn't a joke. This was one of the strangest and most psychologically brutal sabotage weapons of World War II, the British Horse Manure Bomb. Welcome back to Allied Sabotage Vault, where we uncover the hidden weapons, improvised devices, and silent tactics that helped break the Nazi war machine from the shadows. We've covered exploding rats, pencil detonators, well-rod pistols, sticky bombs, coal torpedoes, tire slashers, stinger pens, and limpet mines. But this weapon may be the most absurd of them all, because the British discovered something terrifying. If the enemy stops trusting the ground beneath his boots, you've already won half the battle. Subscribe and turn on notifications. Let's open the vault. By 1943, the Allies understood something important about the German military. The Wehrmacht depended on routine. German logistics worked because soldiers trusted roads, trusted supply routes, trusted ordinary objects. A convoy driver shouldn't have to fear a pile of manure. A patrol soldier shouldn't have to inspect every piece of debris on the ground. But the SOE, the British Special Operations Executive, wasn't trying to fight Germany fairly. Churchill had given them a simple order: set Europe ablaze. And the SOE realized something most conventional military leaders didn't. You don't just destroy an enemy with explosives. You destroy him by exhausting his mind. If every object becomes suspicious, movement slows. If movement slows, supply chains collapse. And if supply chains collapse, armies die. So the SOE asked a very dangerous question. What is the most innocent object we could turn into a weapon? The answer was disgusting and brilliant. Inside Station 9, the SOE's Secret Weapons Development Centre, hidden in England, engineers, chemists, and sabotage experts were building devices unlike anything seen in conventional warfare. Exploding rats, concealed pistols, time pencils, magnetic mines, and eventually, fake horse manure packed with explosives. The concept was horrifyingly simple. The British used real horse manure as the outer shell. It was chemically treated and preserved, so it would maintain the appearance, texture, and even smell of fresh droppings. Inside was a compact explosive charge, usually fitted with a pressure trigger or anti-handling fuse. Step on it, kick it, move it, and it detonates instantly. The genius wasn't the explosive power. It was the disguise. Because during World War II, horse manure was everywhere. Carts still moved through villages daily. Cavalry units still existed. Rural European roads were constantly covered in animal waste. German soldiers stopped noticing it, which made it the perfect hiding place. The SOE understood one of the oldest principles of deception. The best camouflage is the thing nobody looks at twice. Now picture occupied France at dawn. A resistance fighter moves quietly along a roadside used by German patrols. From a small satchel, he removes several lumps of what appear to be ordinary horse droppings. One by one, he scatters them naturally across the road. Not too organized, not too obvious, because realism mattered. Then he disappears into the trees. Hours later, a German motorcycle patrol arrives. The lead rider swerves slightly. A soldier laughs and kicks one of the droppings aside, and the explosion tears through the patrol. The physical damage was deadly enough, but the psychological damage was far worse. Because afterward, German troops no longer knew what was safe. Every roadside object became suspicious. Every pile of debris became a possible trap. Every ordinary detail of daily life became threatening. That is exactly what the SOE wanted. Not just destruction, paranoia. Here's what made the horse manure bomb so effective. It forced the Germans to waste time, and time is the most valuable resource in war. Road patrols slowed down. Convoys stopped more frequently. Soldiers were ordered to inspect roads manually. Some units had to assign men specifically to clear suspicious objects from routes. Imagine the psychological humiliation of that. One of the most advanced armies in Europe, being forced to fear horse manure. This weapon worked perfectly alongside other sabotage tools. Tire slashers delayed vehicles. Pencil detonators timed explosions. Sticky bombs damaged equipment. But the manure bomb did something different. It infected the enemy's imagination. Because once fear enters routine, routine stops functioning. That's asymmetric warfare at its most effective. Most people think wars are won by giant tanks, massive guns, and expensive technology. But the SOE understood something deeper. An empire becomes vulnerable the moment it cannot trust ordinary life anymore. That's what made these sabotage weapons so powerful. Not just the damage, the uncertainty. The Germans could build stronger armor. They could deploy more troops. They could tighten security. But they could never fully defend against randomness. How do you protect every road, every ditch, every object lying on the ground? You can't. And once an occupying army starts fearing everyday objects, it begins mentally exhausting itself. The horse manure bomb wasn't just an explosive. It was psychological warfare disguised as filth, and somehow, that made it even more dangerous. Today, the horse manure bomb remains one of the strangest weapons ever created by the Allies. Absurd, creative, darkly hilarious, and frighteningly effective. While Hitler invested millions into giant tanks, rockets, and superweapons, the British were weaponizing animal droppings. And in many ways, that contrast explains the entire war. One side believed power came from size. The other understood power came from imagination. This has been Allied Sabotage Vault. Small tools, brave people, history that almost didn't get told. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe and hit the notification bell. And tell me in the comments, which forgotten weapon should we open next? The Panjandrum rocket wheel? The butterfly bomb? The clam mine? Next, we open another vault. And remember, sometimes the deadliest weapons are the ones nobody wants to touch. I'll see you in the next vault.